842 at News Radio 710 Keel. Okay, there in the promo, the News Bites promo, we had Dr. Lamar Gorey, Caddo Parish School Superintendent.
Yep.
Dig deep into your news soundbite archives.
All right.
Were you surprised when he said that yesterday? About 67.
That number really seems high to me. It really does.
And let me ask you this. Is 60, what Dr. Gorey, well, here, play the soundbite and we'll talk.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Because I mean, if you hit the wrong one, it's okay because he's always an awesome interview.
Yeah, here's one of them.
Okay.
We're so excited as a school district that we're going to serve over 30,000 students in 51 of our schools next year. That will be all of our elementary schools, our middle schools, our K-8 schools, and our 7-12 feeders.
Okay, now that's talking about the expansion of the free, in verbal italics, school lunch program, and it's good you played that because we're going to come back to that.
Okay, here's a look at the numbers.
When you're in a district like Caddo Parish, where you're looking at having 67% of our students being raised in economically disadvantaged situations, it's far more than you think. And it's interestingly enough, I was talking to a football player in our district 2 days ago, and it was right when we were coming off of the weekend, and he had mentioned that he had not eaten since Saturday. So that means this child went all day Sunday without eating.
Wow.
So 7 out of 10, according to Dr. Gorey, 7 out of 10 students in Caddo Parish schools come from economically disadvantaged backgrounds.
That number is so shockingly high.
But now we're going to give free breakfast and lunch. Not just free lunch, free breakfast and lunch to the other 30% too.
Yep.
And is that just an expansion of a program to make people who don't need to be dependent on government dependent on government? Is it literally just sort of a what did I say earlier, a TOPS program with potato chips?
It's going to be a problem when you try to take it away. Those 30% are going to go,
well,
whoa.
You're making my point.
Yeah.
You said it. You tee it up for me perfectly. Look at what happens that so many people of means are still dependent on TOPS and freak out when what they've come to expect, the government program, these are people with jobs and families and cash on hand.
But TOPS, the parents would say, my child earned it. My child did what you told him to do.
But it's still an entitlement.
To earn the money.
It's still an entitlement.
This is just a handout.
And one of the reasons that entitlement exists is because college tuition is so high. And the biggest reason that college tuition is so high is because of programs like TOPS, or even in a broader sense, the school loan program. As long as, look, it's just like Obamacare, it's just like medical care today.
Yep.
In the sense that the patient, I'm talking about medical care now.
Right.
The patient isn't the customer. The patient is the patient. The customer is the insurance company or the government.
Right.
So the doctor, the hospital, the medical provider
has to get approval from the insurance company.
The medical provider, their job is to not please the customer, please the patient. Their job is to please the customer, i.e. the person who pays. Okay? In this instance, educationally speaking, the student is no longer the customer. Either the loan provider, it's the federal government now because they oversee all federal student loans.
Sure.
The student is no longer the customer. The federal government is the customer, or the state government, in this case TOPS, is the customer. Your job, the educator's job, is no longer to please the student, but to please the person who pays, which is the federal or the state government.
Right.
And the biggest reason people complain, the reason TOPS exists today is because college tuition is so high. Well, one of the reasons it's so high is because somebody else other than the student, just like medical care, somebody else other than the patient is paying for the goods and services they receive.
Right.
What motivation is there for an educational facility? What motivation is there for LSU to lower their tuition if no matter what they raise it to, the government in some sense is going to pay?
Yep. There's no motivation.
Which means TOPS will only continue to need more money because tuition ain't going down. Which means the federal government, the student loan program, is just going to grow and grow and grow. And more students are going to come out of 4 years of college with $100,000. Can you imagine coming out of college with $250,000 in debt?
I can't.
Well, let me tell you. Just like we talked about the school lunch, the expanding school breakfast and lunch program for people who don't need it. Let's give free food to people who don't need it because it makes them dependent on government. TOPS and student loan does the same thing. There's no motivation to lower tuitions.
No.
There's no motivation to lower medical costs simply because as long as it's beyond your reach, as long as it's beyond your cost, they've got you. And you need them.
And you're trapped.